Hello, agentpreneurs. Happy Monday. How is everybody? I hope you all had a nice weekend, did something relaxing. If you did something super cool, share it in the comments. We'd love to hear what you were up to. We've got a really great show today. So I've got my co-founder and CEO, Ajay Shah, on, and we're going to talk all about ListReports Live. If you haven't claimed your free chat room yet, your free video conferencing room, yet, you're going to find out how to do that, and you're going to figure out exactly where we want to go with this product in the future that's in front of us, which in spite of the tragedy, is exciting as it relates to what we think how the role of the agent is going to change. We've got a really great week. This is week 4 of the Daily List Report. It's so hard to believe. Tomorrow we've got Rick Sharga coming on board. Rick Sharga is the founder of CJ Patrick Company. Previous to that, he was a chief marketing officer at 10X Homes, multi-billion-dollar company, regular speaker on CNN and all of the television shows. He's got a tremendous insight and perspective on what's happening in the market, and he's going to bring some great advice around how to develop a competitive advantage. On Wednesday, we've got Sophie, one of our head trainers at ListReports, and we're going to talk about the product and make sure you're getting the most out of it, so make sure you don't miss that. On Thursday, we've got actually a high school friend of mine, a guy named Michael Burdellis. He was a top agent. He's done 1,400 transactions in his career. He's going to talk about how to build your pipeline, especially during these times. And then we've got our second Fun Friday coming up. So this Friday, we've got Risa Grau, who's a nutritionist. She's going to talk about how to boost your immune system. So amazing lineup. We have a YouTube channel, so make sure you check out the YouTube channel if you're missing any of the episodes. We've got highlights and clips posted there and full episodes, and so lots of really great stuff. So, as we always do, we're going to talk about the headlines today. So a few things that we're tracking coming out of the weekend. The first one is, as we've been talking about, the payment protection program aspect of the CARES Act is out of money. And Republicans and Democrats have been duking it out to get more funding into that. And so they're close to a deal. So it looks like the deal that they're close to is going to add about $310 billion to the payment protection program for small businesses. So that's that's almost a doubling of that. $60 billion in that new funding is going to be targeted specifically to smaller banks to make sure that these loans are flowing to minority businesses and lower served areas. So as we'll talk about in a moment, there's a new lawsuit as of today. That money isn't flowing proportionately, right? We didn't expect it to go smoothly, but it went very, very quickly. About 1.6 million loans have been funded. So there's about 1.6 million companies that have been able to take advantage of this, but there's about 30 million small businesses in this country. So to that point, there's a lawsuit that was announced today. It was filed by a California-based company. This one specifically was against Wells Fargo. And the accusation that they're making is that the bank disproportionately was favoring larger loans because there would be greater fees that were generated through that. And that it wasn't until the very end of the program that they actually started prioritizing loans that were less than $150,000, which would be mostly applicable to small mom and pop shops, right? Part of that 30 million small businesses. Now, Wells Fargo has said that any fees generating through this program are going to be distributed as charitable grants to nonprofits that support small businesses. But we're seeing a little bit of friction coming out of this first level of funding. So Congress is optimistic that today, tomorrow, they're going to come to some agreement on this, and it should get signed in, and so we should see more money flowing into the payment protection program. If for whatever reason you still haven't filed, I know that they stopped accepting applications last week, but make sure that you have all of your documents in a row. We have an episode from week 1 where we talked about this, and we have some resources for you. So make sure you take advantage of this funding that's available. The last thing that we're looking at is kind of interesting. It's a new survey from Realtor.com. And what it found is that with the right technology, nearly a quarter of people would be open to buying a home without seeing it in person first. So this is this seismic shift, this change in behavior that is being enabled, sadly, as a result of this pandemic. And one of the things coming out of that is people spending more time looking at homes virtually, people being more open to the idea of actually purchasing a home that they haven't set foot in. And anecdotally, we're seeing this on a lot of the message boards and people doing this more than ever, largely out of need. Now, what's interesting is that in this survey, 68% of respondents, so consumers, said that their plans to move or not move have not changed. So this hasn't altered their desire to want to be able to change their residence. And if you look through, we actually should publish a link. So we'll publish a link to this survey because there's a lot of interesting information in there around people's increased acceptance of virtual tours. And also there's a whole section in there that talks about, for homeowners, how they think about this time, right? So more than half of respondents are okay allowing an agent in their home to take photos. More than half are open to allowing an agent in their home to give a virtual tour. But less and less of them, so about 35% only, are comfortable with actually the agent holding an open house and having strangers, in essence, walk into your house. So, that's actually a really good segue into our topic today. So I'm about to bring on Ajay. You know Ajay. He's going to look a little different today, though, so we're going to have a little fun with this. So Ajay, get yourself off mute there. I'm going to bring you on screen. And you don't look like you looked in the original videos that we posted here.
Well, here we are. No access to haircut stylist or anything like that. So we're going our own way here with the hair.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. You're our first public unveiling of a coronavirus haircut.
That's right.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
I
You look
will
fantastic.
say it, and it's funny. We talk about all the things that will change. I, save $30 a month doing this. So I don't know. I might keep it up. We'll
It's a
see.
fair point, right? I mean, we've been
Yeah.
speculating, and everyone's thinking about what changes are going to last, and what these shifts are. People are cooking more, right? I miss eating out, but maybe haircuts, you can lump those in as well.
I will say, having been outside and it's a little chilly in Southern California right now, you do feel the cold on your head when you have no hair. That is one
I would
distinct
know nothing
difference.
about that. It took me years to get you to grow hair on your face, so now you cover it off with your
That's
head.
true.
So,
Yes, that's right.
so I'm actually, agentpreneurs, I'm going to actually pull up a screen here. So what we're going to talk about today is List Reports Live, and Ryan and AJ were on last week, and we talked about this. And for our 250,000 agents across the country, we've invested in getting you a virtual meeting room, a place where you can come and you can hold video conferences with up to 4 people. And it's available today in the product. So if you just log into your dashboard on the left-hand side, you're going to see a new button that says List Reports Live. You click on it, and you've got everything that you need right here. So you've got, you can copy the caption just like you can with a shareable to send this out to somebody who's going to join you in the meeting. And all you have to do is click the Start Meeting button there on the bottom, and you have yourself a pretty amazing video conferencing tool that's available to you for free. And what AJ and I are going to talk about here, and AJ is going to share a little bit more of the vision behind this, but this is available. Now, the second thing I'll point out here real quick is if you click this little drop-down box, is what would you like to share? The second option here is to schedule a digital open house. So as we've talked about at length, we are building this right now. And so if you want to get in line to be able to access that feature when it gets released, you just go ahead and select that, and you click the button. I've already selected it here, so it says thanks for your interest, but you just click one button there, and you're going to get in the queue, and we'll make sure that this is available to you as soon as possible. So, AJ, we announced this. We've got tons of agents who are taking advantage of it and starting to run their video conferences in it, which is tremendous. Let's talk a little bit about kind of the future of this product. Remind everybody why we did this and talk a little bit about where we want to go with it.
Okay, well, absolutely, Randy. So, you and I are huge believers in one of the seismic shifts that did result as a result of COVID that we don't think is going to reverse even after we're able to hang out and be in person again. And that is the idea that video conferencing is going to become a new dominant cultural factor in our lives. And the fact of the matter is that many people have used this in their families. They've actually been able to spend time with their loved ones remotely. But the fact of the matter is that businesses have really taken this up. And so now the opportunity to do big deals, $100,000 deals, $1 million deals, all acceptable. I think understand and get how significant that is, but it's going to fundamentally change business. And so it sounds weird because video conferencing was something that was around for a while, but the truth of the matter is it was not culturally acceptable to conduct business this way. And now it absolutely is. And so we think that in addition to changing the world, in some very fundamental ways. It's going to change how real estate agents do and conduct their business. And so one of the things that we're really, really encouraging agents to do is take this up, take this mantle up. We're offering free live video conferencing through our platform. Take it up, start to learn and get used to it. But there's a lot more, and I think we're going to talk about where it goes from here. But video conferencing is the real deal. It's going to be a part of your lives going forward, and so
Yes.
and there's a lot of benefits to it. So yeah, let's get
Absolutely,
on it.
absolutely. So
Yes.
so get on it, right? Cannonball, as Ryan said last week, into this experience and give it a
I knew you
shot
were
and
going to
get
bring that
comfortable.
up too.
I
Yeah,
had to bring that
just to
up.
reach out to me on
We
that.
don't
That's
want to
right.
dive into it. I want you to cannonball into it.
That's
So this
right.
is available to you now. It's free. Log in, click the button, run a meeting. Chat with your neighbor, right? Get comfortable with this. But AJ, this first version of it is fairly simple, right? So they're going to click on it and they're going to see a Zoom-like experience.
That's right.
But that's not the full vision of this, is it? Right. So let's talk
Oh,
a
by
little bit
no
about,
means. Yeah.
yeah. Give us your perspective
Yeah.
on kind of where we go with this.
Well, I think the main thing, Randy, and you and I have the benefit of just sort of uh, gazing into the future, if you will, right? And just talking
Yes.
about where are all the possible futures and which one seems like the most likely. We've had a pretty good, track record at picking out which ones they are. That all of the information and the data that agents use and present to consumers, we're going to put that into a nice, orderly way. And we're going to make it extremely easy for agents to provide that back to consumers in delightful ways that were never possible before, right? So take everything from open houses, which are already starting to transform. I think everybody sees that, to listing presentations, to CMAs, and providing so much more rich, robust information in a salient way that is presented beautifully to a consumer in a way that isn't really possible uh, without video conferencing. I know that's hard to explain, and I don't expect everybody to understand that until we sort of present our vision of what this looks like. But I think it's going to be really, really different than how they conduct business now. But the most important point,
Yeah.
Randy, is that there's going to be so many more points in time along the transaction, from the lead funnels on down all the way through the close and frankly the post close, where agents will have the opportunity to be the counselor to the consumer. And so right now that's made more difficult because there was an expectation that you were there in person if you're going to meet with
Yes.
your consumers and so on. But with video conferencing, I think that all changes in a really big way.
Yeah, I think it does. One of the things I want to touch on here, because you're right, it's very hard to imagine this, right? But what we're talking about, for lack of a better analogy, is this command center, right, for all of you agents out there. And this command center allows you to run and operate meetings really efficiently, but to create an experience for your buyers and sellers and leads on the other side that they simply can't get anywhere else, right? And one of the things, AJ, I just want you to elaborate on, just as a reminder, is the efficiencies that are gained from this, right? I mean, even just personally for me, I'm not a morning person. I'm just not, and I'm have the bad fortune of working with lots of people who are morning people. And in this environment, I get to save my commute and my drive, so I could stay up and work a little bit later, and I don't have to wake up quite as early. I can sort of contort the schedule to work for me in ways that I couldn't before, because all of these extraneous things like driving in the car and finding parking and all of those things have gone by the wayside. So, AJ, just touch on that for a second, because I think it's such an important piece of this is the efficiencies that are gained from a world like this with a virtual agent.
Yeah, it's really hard to overstate how significant it is. When you take out the variables of driving, and when I say variables, I mean first having to intersect your physical schedule, your physical presence somewhere with that of one or more people, the number of actual spots that works is pretty small. Now, if you think about all the people working from home and all the opportunities when I'm over video, that number just grows exponentially. So, where you may have had 2 or 3 hour windows per day where you can meet with and converse with people, now that schedule is way, way open. And and some of the variables that you're talking about, things like traffic, things like parking, things like getting lost or what have you. I guess people don't get really lost anymore, but the other things, right? Those variables go away, so you don't have to deal with those, and all of those little frictions, as we call them in technology, we call all those things friction points. They're eliminated, and when you eliminate those friction points, the actual amount of productivity that you get skyrockets. So it is very possible now to have two or three very solid, uh, powerful meetings with your clients within the context of 1 hour. Within 60 minutes, you can do that, whereas that was never conceivable before.
Yeah, and let's make that point even stronger, right? So we've been running a number of pilots around the digital open house experience that we're going to bring to market. And talk a little bit about how long it takes. And I mean, it's a great way to illustrate how efficient virtual is.
I mean, it's such a good point, Randy, because right now, if you have to set up an open house, obviously you're going to be blocking off 4 hours on a Saturday and or Sunday to do that, and that's great. But the fact of the matter is that that leaves so much opportunity for times that agents can't be in front of consumers in front of a house. And so these digital open house experiences are going to be recorded and they're going to be extended. But the actual amount of time that it takes that we're seeing for a good agent to actually present their house, answer questions, and really drive a lot of interest in that house, and also, by the way, very importantly, get lead generation out of it, is 10 to 15 minutes. So you can do a full presentation that makes you look great, makes the property look great, come to life in really significant ways, and then post that online and actually get lots and lots of views, not just the live presentation, but all the what we call in the industry the long tail, the things that happen after that first presentation where you get most of your views on that content will happen. And
And
so,
let's make sure that that's
yeah, go
super
ahead.
clear, right? Is that in a traditional open house, not only are you spending hours driving and prepping and all of that, but at the end of it, you're left with whoever bothered to show up, right? Which is a function of
Yes.
the weather or how good you promoted it. There's all of these variables. What we're talking about here in a digital or virtual open house is actually ending that experience with a piece of content that can be viewed sort of like a reverse long tail by more people, way more people than actually were attending.
Yeah, and can be the life cycle of that house. So
Mm-hmm.
even after the house is sold, you may be able to show people the quality of your work, right? You may be able to still get people who live in that neighborhood to say, it would be interesting to still look into that open house and see what it was like, right? So
Yes.
there's so many more opportunities to use that content. It becomes a permanent piece of library, a piece of your library that you can reuse and continue to go back to for more leads and more interest in your brand.
Absolutely. And let's talk a little bit and a number probably a number of people who are watching this or will be watching it after the live broadcast have been trying this, right? They've cobbled together a solution or they're trying this in some way. And I think we've learned a few things, right? And I think one of the points that I want you to touch on is what an opportunity it is from a long tail brand awareness perspective to really highlight who you are as an agent. So talk about a little bit of what we've learned in running some of these pilots.
Well, so what we've learned is it takes practice. All right. So we're seeing a lot of agents come in and try these experiences and never having had to do this before behind a camera screen for one. And also, not necessarily their natural vibe because a lot of the people who are real estate agents happen to be people, right? And so they like to physically touch or be in close proximity to others, right? So it takes some time to sort of get it right. And you have to get the acoustics right. You have to make sure you have a stable internet connection. You have to make sure all your other tabs are closed so that you have a nice, robust connection, right? So just getting the mechanics right is a brand new thing. I really encourage agents not to get discouraged by just getting the basics right. Number two, there's a little bit more prep involved in the process. So while you may walk into an open house and make sure that it's basically clean, and staged properly. That is certainly a part of the open house experience. Here, you have to produce your content ahead of time. You have to make sure that you're is up and running. You have to make sure that, in our case, we're strongly encouraging people to do what we call FAQs, not frequently asked questions, but flattering asked questions,
Mhm.
questions that you can ask of the property or people can ask of the property that are going to really highlight some of the benefits of the property in the neighborhood. And we encourage you to pick those questions out ahead of time and have great, robust answers to them. You have to be prepared with one of the things that we're really encouraging people to do is virtual staging of their property so that they can actually show kind of like a home remodel show. What would a room look like? These are the benefits of doing it digitally, right? You can't really do this in person, but when you're doing it digitally, it has a whole new dimension to it, right? So when you put these pieces together, they require of preparation. And then how do you distribute that content online? ListReports is trying to figure that out alongside you. So we're working on researching the best way to promote it on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all these other places. But, these are all new things. The net result of it, though, is that your brand is extended significantly because you're in all these new places that you weren't, and you have a reason to be there, which is this great piece of content that you're basically putting out into the market.
Yeah, no, that's tremendous advice. I want to give a quick shout out. We've got some regular viewers here. So Renee, hi, how are you? Ratianda, hi, how are you? And she says, AJ, good morning. I like the new look. So you have a fan.
Thanks. I am a fan.
Oh,
No.
that's fantastic. Thank you both for your comments. So let's sort of wrap this up, right? And let's wrap it up in the context of this new world that we have conviction for, right? Which is the world of a virtual agent and building the tools and technologies to make sure that all of our agentpreneurs have at their disposal this amazing command center where they can do buyer consults and they can get preferences and they can show homes and they can run digital open houses and they can complete a transaction, and so many benefits come from that. So I'd love for our audience to hear from you, sort of, how you think about this vision of the virtual agent, and that it's going to happen, right? This is not a
Mhm.
blip in time. This is a seismic shift.
Yeah, Randy, that's absolutely our conviction is that this is not something that just goes away with COVID, right? We all hope that that goes away sooner rather than later. This cultural change has occurred. It's set, and so now agents will take advantage of this. Whether it's you or someone else, they will take advantage of this. And when they do, it's going to make them far more productive and far more versatile than the next agent. And so this is a competitive advantage if you do it, and it's a competitive disadvantage if you don't do it. The one thing I know about a lot of our agents is that many of them are concerned about having to learn new technologies. And the thing that I will say, Randy, and I want all of our agents to know about this is that we're going to, so there's going to be trainings. In some cases in the past, I have to be candid, we weren't great at that stuff. We
Yeah.
didn't give our agents all the resources we could. We've learned our lessons from that. And I think it's really important as we bring out more sophisticated products and solutions to the market that we're also leading in terms of making sure that they understand and have really can have resources to learn this stuff very well. So we're going to well, but it is your job to dive into this technology, cannonball in, whatever you want to say, right? Get in there, start learning, start making mistakes now, and I mean that literally make mistakes, start to get your own approach to this technology down. It's transformational. It'll make your business a whole lot better, a lot more productive. You'll ultimately get more leads from it. You'll ultimately get more conversions from it. Um, Also, get yourself a nice chair. That's very important. If you're going to be sitting at your desk a lot, it's going to be very important to be ergonomically correct, right? So make sure that you have a comfortable place to do this from, and that it's quiet as best you can. I know everybody's got kids at home and things like that as well, but try your best to create an office environment where you can work and be in front of your customers in a professional manner.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's interesting. We touched on this yesterday, AJ, right? Like it was, historically a lot of agents would invest in a nice car because first impressions matter, and you drive up in a nice car and you show, success. And not everybody did that, but a lot of agents did that. And now what we're talking about is making sure that you have a nice, setup in whether it's in your garage or in your living room or in an office, wherever it might be. Make sure you have an opportunity to make a good first impression. AJ, this is so timely. So Shirley Owens asks, is there an example of what a great virtual open house looks like? It's almost like I plugged it. So talk about that for a second.
So the answer is yes. I think, ListReports is actually working on some. And actually, one of the things that, Randy, we committed to yesterday, you and I, is that we're going to actually model out some of these open house experiences. So
Yes.
we're getting permission from some of our agents to actually give some examples of what we think the best practices are. We're gonna ship those out. Also, we'll ask some of our agents who have done some of these whether or not we can share them in this group as well. We'll get permission before we do that. But I think that we'll share some of the things that we're seeing that are happening out there. So let's make sure we do that and provide some links to that. But we'll make it a priority to make sure that we get at least one really good representative sample video out this week of ListReports employee, either myself, Randy, or someone else on our team, to actually go through a whole experience so you can see what we think one of these digital open house experiences look like. Number two, get in line. So on the ListReports Live tab, when you go inside ListReports, you're going to get your free video conferencing. The second option down is a digital open house experience. If you haven't already, there's a question there that says, would you like to be in the queue to receive this experience? That's gonna do that as soon as we open up more availability to our digital open house experiences to go to you next.
Fantastic. And AJ, I just pulled up the screen again so that they can see exactly where that was.
Awesome.
Renee says, AJ, thank you for touching base on the basic mechanics of becoming proficient in video conferencing. Diving in. She said diving in, so that's fantastic.
There you go, Renee.
James
awesome.
is asking about posting the viewer preferences. James, thank you for joining. If you look up in the comments, we'll send it to you again if you don't see it, but we posted a link to the Realtor.com survey with some of the preference data that I was alluding to during the headlines. So, fantastic. H, hey, thanks for joining. I think thanks for painting a great vision of the future and what we want from this. And any parting words for our agentpreneurs?
No, I always, Randy, I never want to be lectury or pedantic.
Yeah.
So, and I really like what we're putting out there. That's it.
Absolutely. Fantastic.
And give us feedback. Give us feedback. That's always the best
Right.
one. That's how we learn.
Right. That's exactly how we learn. Fantastic. Age, say goodbye to our agentpreneurs for the day, and we'll see you soon.
Goodbye, team. We'll see you soon.
Fantastic. Well, that's great. So great show today. Lots of great information, lots of actionable things. Dive in right now, run a meeting, try it out. You're going to see this product advance very quickly in some meaningful ways that are going to allow you to put your branding front and center and then allow you to do a lot of the things that we've been talking about and sort of running your business. So make sure you join us tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a really great day. We've got, again, Rick Sharga, the former Chief Marketing Officer of 10X Homes, and just a really smart guy. And so come back tomorrow and he's going to talk about all sorts of things that are going to help you build your business during this time. Specifically, he's going to talk about how to develop a competitive advantage, which has been a theme of this show here coming into week 4. So thanks everybody for joining. Thank you for interacting. Thank you for your comments. We'll post a link to the YouTube channel as well. There's a bunch of great shows now. That library is building up nicely. So we'll get a link to the YouTube channel posted in the comments. And as always, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.